I've never played Outer Wilds, but in this series, I'm changing that. Welcome back. So, last time, I found out what the end of each time loop involves. The sun goes supernova. Neat. Now, as much as I want to find the counterclockwise cyclone on Giant's Deep that I learned about, I'm compelled to travel instead to Ember Twin. The time fluctuation questions and the warp research I learned about on Brittle Hollow is too enticing for me not to immediately follow up on. Also, I've been distracted again, which is largely the real reason I'm going to ignore the cyclone thing for the time being. Landing on Ember Twin makes me realise that I've not really been appreciating the scale of Outer Wilds up to this point. From the map and on approach, the two twin planets, Ash and Ember, look quite small. They're reminiscent of planetoids rather than full places. Yet landing on Ember Twin throws that out entirely. The planet is big and has a huge amount to explore. I think this is probably something I just struggle with, not sure I'm alone in it or not, where the scale of something in space just doesn't quite make sense to my puny brain. Largely because things exist within something the size of space. I don't really know what I'm trying to say here beyond the thing that I thought was small is actually big. As I eventually managed to land on Ember Twin, I'm also blindsided by the state of the planet. It's a strange shape, the equator is effectively hollowed out down to the core. I'm sure this won't become relevant anytime soon. Oh, Ash Twin is spilling sand onto Ember Twin. Okay. I think I'll stay away from that pillar of sand for the time being. So, I'm here on Ember Twin to look for the high energy lab. I used the projection pool back on Brittle Hollow, so I know I should be looking for a glowing tower type structure. I see something that doesn't match that description in any way, shape or form and go there instead. Find two pieces of Nomai text. Activate the gravity cannon and call the shuttle home. I realise these are labels for the control mechanism above me. Calling the shuttle home warps a shuttle to the platform in front of me, so let's see what's in there. The shuttle landed on the comet according to a Nomai log inside. Their situation at the time wasn't great. They identified some strange readings beneath the surface of the comet. There's a fissure that can be entered, but two Nomai that entered it haven't returned as recorded by the writer. My question here though is simple. Can I land on the interloper? I don't know if I can, but I know that I want to, if for no other reason than, landing on a comet would be kinda cool. A control mechanism on the ship launches it and me into space. It actually travels really fast, which I think just surprises me mostly because of the lack of fanfare that the launch actually has. One minute you're on the planet's surface, the next you're not. I play around with it some more, and I learn that I can walk back to the gravity cannon from within the ship. There's a third control, but it doesn't seem to do anything. I keep playing around with it anyway because I actually just kind of like the noises that it makes, truth be told. My favourite thing though is, again, about scale. The way that Ember Twin just slowly but surely becomes smaller and smaller as I float away. I spot what looks like a structure making an orbit around the sun, so I launch the ship again. Then I realise my mistake. I've just launched myself into the sun. Upon waking up, I catch a glimpse of something that wasn't there before. Giant's Deep has a moon for a brief second, between blinks. It's moving fast, and then it's gone. Is this the visiting moon that I found information about on Brittle Hollow? There have been references to a quantum moon, so my assumption is that what I just saw is that. Interesting. I'd best not get distracted though, right? Reviewing the ship's log, I do in fact spot an entry confirming the Brittle Hollow moon and that it is in fact called the Quantum Moon. I review the information I gained from visiting the gravity cannon on Ember Twin as well. All of what I've found there so far is pointing me towards the interloper and traversing a fissure on its sunward side. Importantly, I note that the log tells me that there's more to explore at the Nomai shuttle I just flew into the sun. Suit up, buckle up, back to Ember Twin. I land on Ember Twin next to a structure similar to one I previously discovered on Brittle Hollow. There's a distress beacon here, and a Nomai log indicated that those who landed here all survived the crash. The log confirms as well that there are definitely 3 escape pods scattered across the solar system. Heading into the wreckage, more Nomai logs indicate that the Nomai descended underneath the planet's surface to set up a shelter. The Nomai signposted and wrote a lot down here, so I venture further into the caverns. Considering the signposting that the Nomai had on Brittle Hollow, the directions they provide within these caverns are a lot more robust. One minor detail they include is that the passageways down here fill with sand, which I guess is the result of the pillar of sand dropping onto Ember Twin from Ash Twin. Throughout the passageways, all I can hear is the slow dropping of sand and my own breathing. I don't feel claustrophobic here at all. You do. The passageways lead me to a large, open cavern, and again I'm struck by the inability of my brain to comprehend scale. This place is huge, and slowly filling with sand. There are a few places I don't seem able to access during my exploration of the cavern, and a lot of ruined Nomai structures. There are some control panels and trees with which I can replenish my oxygen, so all said and done I'm feeling reasonably okay in this incredibly dark and lonely place. There are some Nomai writings down here that reference something called Sun Station, the purpose of which goes against every standard and belief the Nomai have. They reference something else here, the Ash Twin Project, and perhaps prophetically suggest that if this fails, then potential annihilation of the star system itself is a risk. I have no idea what the Ash Twin Project is, but I do recall seeing a structure extremely close to the sun as I flew into it recently. That place might be worth a visit. The control mechanisms point to different locations and light up pathways further down the cavern. One of these points to the high energy lab. I remind myself not to get distracted. Sun stations and Ash Twin projects can wait. The high energy lab is where I'm supposed to be going. And I'll go there soon. But for now, I'm going to explore a little more of this cavern. More Nomai writing, this time seemingly written by a child. They don't know why the eye is important. What if it's something not good? A lot of Nomai died when they arrived in this system in search of it. Other writings from the children here reference Fossil Fish Cave, Stepping Stone Cave, and Anglerfish Overlook, where if you throw a light into its mouth, the light will show the way. I'll file that information away for now. Remember, high energy lab. Further exploration is ultimately hindered by the presence of ghost matter, and I realise I have no idea what that stuff even is. The Nomai built where it now exists, so surely it hasn't always been here. Distraction. I make my way back to the surface, and nearby is the gravity cannon I was exploring earlier. I remember the ship's log said that there was more for me to explore here, so I dive back in. I learn a valuable but harsh lesson about why you shouldn't touch cacti, cactuses, all of the above. Turns out they hurt. Yeah, we're not going to go that way then. I don't know why, but I decided that I should switch the gravity cannon on and then put myself on it. I'm not really sure what I expected, but now here I am, floating through space as my fuel and oxygen slowly but surely get lower and lower. The view is nice though. I tried to make my way to something, anything, but the gravity cannon has launched me far and I only have so much fuel. I'd like to say that I almost made it onto the Atl Rock, but that's just not true. I run out of fuel and oxygen as I pass by Timber Hearth. Back to Ember Twin. High Energy Lab. No more distractions. As I approach, I notice that the sand hasn't started falling from Ash Twin yet. That's interesting. I guess this is similar to Brittle Hollow in that this planet and what I can and can't access will change over time. After landing on Ember Twin again, I found Chert, another traveller like myself. Chert lets me know that he's out here making observations and updating the star charts. Chert has also seen a number of supernovae today and tells me that I might be able to spot some too. Yeah, Chert, I've definitely seen one recently. I tell Chert that I found his notes about Attlerock's biggest crater, which at this point feels like a lifetime ago. He explains that there used to be a fifth planet in this solar system, however it's no longer there. Dark bramble grew in its place, which he clarifies means that the bramble appeared at the centre of the fifth planet and began destroying it from the inside out, eventually shattering it. Just another normal thing that's happened in this corner of the universe, I suppose. Chert also gives me some information about the falling sand pillar. Apparently the sand falls from one of the twins to the other, eventually reversing. He also suggests that I have a look at Ash Twin once more if the sand has fallen away from it, so I'll make a note to do just that. Across from Chert, I spot a cavern entrance, and I wonder if it will lead me back to the Nomai ruins. Inside, some Nomai writings indicate that one of their number, Coleus, disappeared without a trace during a research expedition to study the cave's geology. There's a unique and wandering rock that visits several caves in the local area. One guess as to what that rock could be. Coleus disappeared in a cave at the bottom of the dry lake bed at the North Pole, another thing to file away for later. I turn around and nearly lose my composure entirely. Hello, friendly rock. I'm not going to pretend that didn't freak me out. I take a photo of the rock so it can't follow me and get out of the cave as fast as I can. I really need to find the high energy lab. Get a warning about an unidentified signal, but I quickly realised that it's just Chert, so yeah, we're back on the trail. High energy lab, let's get after it. Or not. Exploring the surface of the planet brings me right back to the gravity cannon. I can't help but play around with it a little bit more. I re-enter the ship, check to see if I missed anything last time I was here. Then I noticed Giant's Deep is briefly a straight shot from the gravity cannon itself. So now I'm wondering, could I launch the ship, with me inside it, to another destination? The sun passes by, so does Ash Twin. Eventually Giant's Deep is back in view, so I launch and miss spectacularly. I do take a moment just to, appreciate the ambience, bask in it if you like. It's nice out here, irrespective of whether or not I'm meant to be out here. I can't help but shake the feeling that I'm missing something at the gravity cannon, but it'll have to wait. It'll have to wait. I need to find the high energy lab. I explore the surface a little further, and then finally spot a building I recognise. That's the high energy lab. I'm sure of it. There's even a doorway and some Nomai writing. The door is closed. Damn it. The Nomai are using the high energy lab to design the Ash Twin project, and there's another pathway via the Sunless City that needs to be used for entry due to the aforementioned closed door. Okay. That's fine. I know where the Sunless City is, so I just need to make my way down there and then find the trail to the lab. Easy. There's what looks like a wire running from the lab into a nearby cavern, but the cavern is filled with ghost matter. Can I make it past the ghost matter and into the gravity lift at the end of the cave? No, I can't. Back on Ember Twin, I make it to the crash site and head back into the caverns below towards the Sunless City. I'm quite glad I recently made this trip because the route is fresh in my mind. It's almost as if having a goal and sticking to it is a good idea. As tempted as I am to explore more of the Sunless City, I stay the course, using the mechanism within the city to light the way to the lab. I'm helped out in this endeavour by spotting the wire I previously saw, so I figure simply follow the wire as being the best course of action. Then, I have to wait for sand to fill a bit so I can get past some frankly rude cacti that keep puncturing my suit. Whilst I'm waiting for the sand to fill the pit, I'm suddenly concerned by the fact that this tunnel may not exist for much longer, and the claustrophobia comes back. Honestly, I never thought that sand would scare me like this, but if nothing else, this journey so far has taught me that I should throw out everything I may have expected, because the universe is a really strange place. As if answering to my fear, the tunnel branches off into a few directions and dead ends, but eventually I find a gravity lift and am propelled towards the surface. I venture further. I think that is where I recently died. Yes. Memories. More lifts. And then I'm in the high energy lab. I think it's fair to say that I am ravenous for any information about what the Nomai discovered about the time anomalies, along with anything else. I've never been so excited to explore a lab before. I pull out the translator and get to work. The Nomai experiment paired a small white hole and black hole core, and they began measuring things entering and exiting these points of weirdness. They needed to route power from the Sunless City to the high energy lab in order to give more power to their experiment. This, I suppose, explains the wire that led me here. Sure enough, the Nomai were able to replicate the scenario and confirm their hypothesis. Something can arrive at the exit of a white hole before entering a black hole. Yikes. There are more notes to find here. The Nomai were tasked with creating a 22-minute interval where something would arrive 22 minutes before being sent through a warp. They learned that more energy would be needed to make such a thing reality. In fact, the amount of energy required would be an entire undertaking on itself. On top of all that, they'd also need a more advanced version of their current warp technology and a large amount of space to house the entire thing, for which Ash Twin is proposed as a possible site. This is what the Ash Twin project is, then. The project will require a means of quickly travelling between Ash Twin itself and each location that holds important materials for the project. Work begins on making this a reality in a place called the Black Hole Forge, and the design is that Ash Twin will house several towers that are able to warp to a different location each. Coming to the High Energy Lab has been altogether entirely useful, although I'm still uncertain as to what to make of all the information I have thus far. I can't help but feel like I'm still very far away from understanding what's going on here, but I have some theories. The Nomai came to this solar system following a signal from what they thought was the eye of the universe. They built a gravity cannon in orbit around Giant's Deep to launch probes to search for the eye visually, as the signal from the eye seemed to stop when they arrived. The Nomai discovered that an object could arrive somewhere before it departed somewhere else. They used this to expand the time between arrival and departure to 22 minutes. This technology was brought into existence on Ash Twin. I could warp to other locations from the towers on Ash Twin. There is an engine for this technology on Ash Twin. The Nomai statues, such as the one that gave me a pretty light show at the museum, are linked to this technology. I am stuck in a time loop that is 22 minutes long as a result of this. Hypothesis would be that this technology is the reason the sun goes supernova far sooner than it's meant to. Of course, I have these theories, but none of them really provide any answers as to why this is happening, and my only real lead right now is the supernova thing. For now, I think I've learned all I can from the High Energy Lab, and I should probably head back to the ship and review what I found in the log. I've come to really appreciate the log in general, both as a record of what I've discovered and as a reminder of what I should be looking for. I will say as well, though, that the more I find, the more overwhelmed I'm becoming. What doesn't really help very much is every time I see the words, "there's more to explore here," my brain really doesn't like that very much. I figure that taking a closer look at Ash Twin wouldn't be a bad idea, given that I'm in the neighbourhood anyway, so I make landfall and sure enough there are numerous towers jutting out from the planet. The sand is still falling down onto Ember Twin, and my ship gets caught up in that situation. I find one of the warp platforms in a tower and stand on it, then I wait. Before being whisked away to Brittle Hollow. There's only one black hole I know of right now and it's on Brittle Hollow, so at least I know where I am. Kind of. I start exploring, and then I jump, realising a second too late that I've just left one of the wonderful Nomai gravity floors. Hello again, old friend. I try looking for Whitehall Station, but there's a lot of debris in here at this point. Maybe I can land on the interloper? I cannot. I think it's fair to say that my first journey through one of the warp towers hasn't really worked. We'll say worked. My fuel runs out, and I'm using oxygen as propellant again. With nothing better to do, I make another shot at the interloper, and fail. Again. One more time, and I make it. This is a learning experience, okay? I now know I can land on the interloper. One thing hits me now, though. I'm not actually worried about my mortality anymore. Just as well, really, because the oxygen runs out and I'm thrown through time, back to the start. Thank you for being with me on this continuous journey. Next time, I'll try not to be as distracted, and probably fail. Until then, it's been Outer Wilds.